It was one of the faculty duplexes that was constructed, and again, you can see it still has the dual entrances, and the illustrious Francis Lieber did live here, hence the naming for him. He is one of the most illustrious and faculty members in the university's history, author of the Encyclopedia Americana, and very well respected academic in his time. He was also known for temper and great impatience with students, and at one point he asked a student during one of his history courses, he asked him what was the religion of the Jews. The student replied, Mohammedanism. And Francis Lieber actually tried to have the student expelled for stupidity. So Lieber has some offices in it today. We have the Rose Garden, Memorial Rose Garden. Recently, some work behind the college, running some new steam lines, uncovered part of the foundation of an outbuilding, which was actually a brick building that served as both a kitchen and quarters for the college servants, whom were actually slaves. Some were owned by the college, some were hired to come work in the steward's hall in the cafeteria, essentially. So it was very exciting to actually find some of those bricks and have them, archaeology folks pull them out to study them. So, and that was just behind Lieber there, just on the other side of the Rose Garden.
I've never showered yet.
That's right.
About 12 minutes, it's doing work.
Here. Now, the brick wall that surrounds the original campus actually runs the full block from Sumter to Pendleton to Mole to Green Streets. It was originally constructed in 1835, completed in 1836, and it was actually solid brick with a single center entrance, and it was 7 feet high. The original construction. The reason it was built was because Carolina students had this really annoying habit of sneaking off into Columbia and going drinking. So this is 1835. So the trustees decided to replace the old wooden fence with this lovely tall brick wall and try to keep the students in. It failed miserably. However, 30 years later, the wall saved the University of South Carolina. During the burning of Columbia in 1865, which destroyed the State House just a block away, the flames swept up to the very campus and to the wall itself. And again, it was still, 7 feet high, solid brick. The school had been used as a hospital during the Civil War, and therefore it had a hospital staff, and Union soldiers were posted here to help protect the hospital and patients. And they were able to beat back the flames and save the campus because the wall slowed the flames down long enough for them to take action and beat them back. So it didn't keep the students in, but it did keep the fire out. It has been altered significantly over the years. You can see it's not 7 feet high anymore in this section. This was lowered in the late 1880s. The rail was put on sometime later. Portions of it have been opened and closed and lowered and raised again, and so we're currently working on a project to survey it and try to determine the most original sections of the wall so we can make sure that those are well preserved. Walk over here toward the caravan. Okay, so this, of course, is the best building on campus, the South Caroliniana Library, my workplace. Constructed in 1840, it was the first freestanding college library constructed in the United States. The library's previous location was actually in a building on the site of Lieber College, which shared the library and the science labs, which were not a good mix because the books started smelling like the experiments that were going on in the building. So they constructed this beautiful building, finished in 1840. Elements of the design are by Robert Mills, the first federal architect for the United States and a South Carolina native. In 1927, 2 wings were put on. They matched the brick so beautifully that you cannot tell just by glancing where the addition was. It was actually at this little notch right here and on the other side where the gutter runs down. Those are the 1927 additions. It served as the campus's main library for 100 years until the structure that is now McKissick Museum was built. And after that, it was turned into the South Caroliniana Library, which focuses on the collections that document the history, culture, and literature of South Carolina and the South as a whole. We are one of the top repositories in the United States for Southern manuscript collections, Southern history collections. And it also houses the university's own historic materials as well. The upstairs reading room, the main reading room, is actually a replica of the original reading room for the Library of Congress, which was destroyed by fire. I'm going to turn back to the wall again just to mention a major event that happened here in 1902 when the Gamecocks scored an upset victory in football over the Clemson Tigers, the arch rivals. The football game at that time was called Big Thursday. It's an annual event at the State Fair. Huge event. And like I said, we scored an upset victory over the Tigers. They were a little upset by that. And the fairgrounds at that time were actually on Elmwood Avenue, not the current State Fairgrounds. And they became more upset when the Gamecock fans, the students, started parading around with the large picture of a gamecock crowing over a beaten tiger. They told the student body president that they would better not take that picture in the Elks Parade down Main Street. Naturally, the student body did take the picture in the Elks Parade down Main Street. And at the time, Clemson was a military school. So their cadets were here with their rifles and bayonets marching in the parade. And they decided they were just going to march on University of South Carolina and seize the transparent, seize the drawing, and take it away from the students. So about 300 or so Clemson cadets marched on the school. About 40 Carolina students gathered up what weapons they could and hunkered down behind the low wall here in the higher areas to defend their alma mater. Most of them had sticks and rocks, there were a few knives, there were a few guns. One senior turned to a sophomore and asked him if he were armed. And when he showed him his loaded pistol, he said, "Thank God, make every shot count." Fortunately, the police arrived and the faculty arrived, and the compromise was reached that the students, 2 student bodies, would burn the picture between them while they cheered each other. And that was the first Tiger Burn. A great tradition for Carolina.